2 years ago, my father passed away due to lung cancer, and that in itself is not a remarkable story. Sad, perhaps, but not remarkable. My father's decline had been incredibly fast. In February, he had been at a wedding in Salerno. By September, he was so ill he could barely walk. We finally lost him in November, and it utterly broke my heart. Mostly because I couldn't remember my last words to him. His death, despite being at the end of an illness, was still a shock. We honestly thought we'd see Christmas. He was only in hospital to begin his chemotherapy. In my search for his final words, I remembered something he'd told my mother. I'd taken to eavesdropping on them out of a morbid curiosity and genuine fear. He told her about a dream he kept having. In the dream, he was lying in his bed, but he kept saying he was dressed like he was when he was just 10 years old. My father was born in 1958, so it wasn't difficult to imagine what he meant. He went on to say that every so often someone would come into the room and try to wake him. He'd see them, but they'd act as if his eyes were closed. He remarked during the first dream it had been my grandfather, who died at the same age as my father and my dad. So, in the first dream, it had been his grandfather, my grandfather actually, attempting to wake him up. The second night, he said it was his grandmother, or as we call her, Nan. The third dream, which he said had happened the previous night, was his old friend Susan. This rather upset my mother and me. Susan had been my father's partner in the police. She died of cancer about 10 years ago. It was harrowing to think it was also happening to my father. He seemed shaken by the dreams, because he kept saying that every time they pulled at him, he'd wake up, as if someone had done it to him in reality. He told my mother, "They keep saying to wake up." My father signed the "Do Not Resuscitate" waiver, and following a minor heart attack brought on by his cancer, he passed away on the 18th of November 2013. My mother told me about his dream afterwards. I had to try and act surprised, as if I hadn't listened to their conversation. She told me that before the dream, he had wanted to be kept on life support. Yet after he was entirely against it, she told me he said they were waiting for him. I honestly believe my father just didn't want us to suffer. He didn't want what he went through at my age to happen to me. It happened anyway, and not to sound selfish, but life support would have at least been life. This entire story comes to a head here because I felt a lot weaker lately, fatigued, easily agitated, and a pounding in my head like no one's business. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, And the only reason I share this story is this. Last night, I had a dream that I was younger, lying in my bed, my old room. Last night, I dreamt my father came to my bed and tried to wake me. He told me to wake up. Then he pulled my arm. That's when I woke up in my real room, gazing into nothing, as if I pulled my arm back into the darkness. I don't believe in supernatural crap, but I think my life is about to take a turn for the worst. Follow up. The 20th of February 2016. Last night, I had the dream again, but this time, my great aunt, whom I lost in April, came to me. She asked me to wake up. She told me they were waiting. I woke up again when she touched me. I'm starting to panic now. Like my father, the people who visited him died in order. Last month, my grandmother died. I fear to sleep tonight, because if I see her, I'll update tomorrow. 29th of February 2016. Update. Last night she came to me. I knew she would. She tried to make me come, but she doesn't have to try anymore. I understand now. They're all waiting for me.